Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vukenjani Kwekwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwyn Mberi and Aina Kweyo. How are you, Aina?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's a special day. It's
yes.
my little sister's birthday today.
Happy
Tadiwa
birthday.
Stacey Mberi, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Indeed.
It's a new season.
She's turning 20.
New wine.
20?
Yeah, it's a good age. Forever. You remain 20.
Please.
You don't
stop
move.
growing.
You remain 20. Okay, in today's broadcast, South Africa recalls diplomats from Israel to assess its position, says the minister. Zambia's former president has been given 14 days by the court to reply to petition over his eligibility to run for election in 2021. And Museveni placed down Washington's exclusion of Uganda's from trade deal. You can follow all our programs on our website, which is called oneup2.com or DSTV 285 or GoTV 25 in Namibia. Master Mike Sichula will later on the show join us to fill us on the stories happening in Zambia. We'll be right back with our top stories.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Let's get into our top stories. South Africa is recalling diplomats from Israel to assess its relationship with the country amid a rise in civilian casualties from its war with the Palestinian militant group Hamas, its foreign minister said on Monday. South Africa has long been an advocate for peace in the Middle East and has rallied behind Palestinians, likening their plight to its own under an apartheid regime that ended in 1994. Calling the return of diplomats a normal practice, Naledi Pandor said the recall was to determine whether there is any potential for you to be of assistance and whether the continued relationship is actually able to be sustained in all terms. South Africa does not have an ambassador in Israel. The country is extremely concerned at the continued killing of children and innocent civilians in the Palestinian territory, the foreign minister said. We believe the nature of response by Israel has become one of collective punishment, she said, adding the country would continue to call for comprehensive ceasefire in Palestine.
Moving over to our next story, presidential rival arrested in Madagascar. An opposition presidential candidate has been arrested in Madagascar at a protest in the capital Antananarivo. Journalist saw Jean-Jacques Ratitisen being taken away by the police. The opposition has alleged that this month's election is being rigged in favor of the incumbent Andry Rajoelina. The Electoral Commission has not commented on the allegation. Several recent attempts to stage demonstrations have been broken up by the police. Political tension is high in Madagascar. Last month, two candidates, including former President Marc Ravalomanana, were injured during an opposition protest.
Now, Niger's former president Mohamed Bazoum's legal team has urged West African regional courts to reinstate him, alleging that his detention and removal from power violated his political rights. Soldiers ousted Bazoum on July 26, citing his inability to address growing insecurity in the region. Bazoum's lawyers presented their case to the Community Court of Justice, a body established to address matters within the ECOWAS regional bloc. It's important to note that member states are not bound by the court's decisions and there is no mechanism to enforce its rulings. Sedou Diagne, a member of Bazoum's legal team, argued that the removal of Bazoum's government constituted a violation of his political rights.
Nigeria's opposition's Obi slams court ruling confirming a Tinubu election win. Nigeria's opposition Labour Party leader Peter Obi on Monday criticized the Supreme Court's ruling affirming President Bola Tinubu's victory in February's elections and vowed to continue to fight for a new Nigeria. The country's top court on the 26th of October rejected an attempt to overturn the election result by the main opposition leader Atiku Abubakar and Obi, who came second and third in the vote, slamming the door on any legal challenge against Tinubu, who says he won fairly. Speaking for the first time since the ruling, Obi, a former two-term governor who campaigned as an outsider, told reporters the judgment was a disappointment and contradicted overwhelming evidence of election rigging, false claims of technical glitches and other irregularities.
And U.S. YouTuber and philanthropist Mr. Beast has received both praise and criticism after sharing that he built 100 wells in Africa. In the video, which has been viewed over 48 million times since its Saturday release, Mr. Beast showcased his construction of 52 wells in rural Kenyan communities and 48 other wells in Zimbabwe, Uganda, Somalia, and Cameroon. Several people have applauded Mr. Beast for helping rural communities while faulting African governments for embezzling funds meant for such projects. Mr. Beast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, has 207 million subscribers on YouTube, making him the platform's most followed account. But some Africans have criticized him, saying that his video perpetuates the stereotype of Africa as an impoverished continent. Mr. Beast has defended his philanthropy, saying that he will always use his platform to help people and inspire others to do the same. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. After the break, Mike Sichula joins us from Zambia.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
It's time for us to cross over to Mike Sichula in Zambia, and this is his top story. President Edgar Lungu, who is the former president of Zambia, has been given 14 days by the court to reply to a petition over his eligibility to run for election in 2021. Good morning, Mike Sichula. How are you? Please take us into your first story.
Good morning. The background is that ahead of the 2021 presidential elections, there was a debate in the country whether President Lungu was eligible to contest that election, and the court did rule in his favor that he was eligible to contest. However, after the 2021 general elections, the a citizen petitioned the Constitutional Court over the eligibility of President Lungu to run for election. Following that petition, the Constitution has issued an ultimatum that former President Lungu must by 17th November 2023 file an affidavit in reply to a petition in the court. Then also the petitioner has been told to counter the reply on November 24th, 2023. So this is something that will be very interesting, because a number of people are now want to see whether the court is going to disagree on its area ruling that declared that Mr. Lungu was eligible to contest the presidential elections in 2021. And as you may be aware, the Constitutional Court is the highest court in Zambia. So expectations are high, if at all, the highest court in Zambia is going to overturn its earlier ruling. And if that happens, what happens now to the election of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and others who lost that election?
Moving over to your next story, in a rather sad turn of events, a pastor on the Copperbelt region has attempted to commit suicide. Tell us about this.
Yeah, something that is unusual and very sad. So brief facts are that on Saturday, 4th November 2022, around 22 hours, Mr. Mayemba informed his wife that he wanted to resign from being the pastor and that he has made several phone calls to his fellow pastors and his church members over his resignation, and later left home giving instructions that the gate be locked and that he should never return home that night. So thereafter, Mr. Mwamba explained that while the wife tried to call his husband, his phone went unanswered until around 08 hours when he called back, informing that he was at church. The wife then called members of the church to take the keys to the pastor at the church, and upon his arrival at the pastor, when they opened the door to the church, and when they entered, they found the pastor lying unconscious at the pulpit with foam coming from his mouth. So this is something that police in the province have launched investigation to establish what could have led to the pastor trying to committing suicide while in the church. Something that has set a number of people surprised at the turn of event, because you usually want to go to a pastor for counseling, but this is a case where a pastor commits suicide.
All right, Mike, let's move on. SADC has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to intensify efforts to address tension between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo as concisely as possible. We have just over a minute.
Yeah, so this comes following the extraordinary summit of SADC heads of state that took place in Rwanda, Angola. And during that summit, President Hichilema, who is the Troika chairperson, called for diplomatic efforts between the DRC and Rwanda to bring a lasting solution in the DRC. So a number of people are hoping that Mr. Hichilema is going to use his role as the chairman of SADC to ensure that there's peace between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, in order to avoid further instability in the region.
And finally, Master Sichula, authorities across Zambia have intensified efforts to curb the further spread of anthrax, which has so far claimed 4 lives. Tell us about this.
Yeah, the outbreak now has affected a 4-year-old girl who ate meat from a dead buffalo. So following this, authorities have intensified the issue of ensuring that the meat that is being sold on the market is certified. So over the weekend, authorities in Lusaka did impound almost 1,000 kilograms of meat, which they found to have been infected with the virus, the anthrax. So it is something that even now the selling of beef has been drastically affected. People are no longer buying beef anyhow, and it is also causing problems. But the number of those that are infected is not increasing as much as authorities had earlier warned. The numbers are still below 350 cases.
Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us the news stories as they are in Zambia. All right, that's Mike Sichula.
Yeah.
He likes to give an Irish goodbye. You know, he just disappears.
Once
we are done, we are done. Let's head to the weather predictions. We start our economic news in Namibia, where Francois van Schalkwyk, Executive Director of Investment ND New Ventures for the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, NIPDB, said the launch of the first ever global green iron industrial project sets Namibia on the path to become a key player in renewable energy. He emphasized that High Iron Oshivela Green Iron Project is the poster for Namibia's value addition quest. This video is by Jemima Biekas.
Is blessed with an abundance of natural resources and amongst other copper and iron and a number of other metals. And of course these resources have, as you very well know, have historically been exported and value addition took place somewhere else. Unfortunately, as we know, this particular way of doing it then leaves you with the exposure to its commodity cycles, but also at the same time leaves you in a place where you don't really create much labor demand and jobs in particular without that processing facilities and that processing taking place domestically. And this is why, in particular, like I said, it is important for Namibia. Value addition is important because it does add a new dimension to our economy. It fosters not only diversification, but also it really creates the jobs that we need and want. It also buffers our economy against global price fluctuations and generates and creates that stable economy that not only Namibians want, but also that investors would want. It does create jobs for our young and talented workforce who stands ready to contribute to the development of new industries like the production of green iron. And like I said, it does create a stable economic environment. However, it is not only about creating jobs or diversifying the economy. The true potential for Namibia lies in its role as a raw processing materials center, in particular in our region, that will transform global industries like the automotive industry, construction, and a number of others. Green commodities like green iron and steel, of course, green copper, lithium, graphite, and a number of more are the building blocks of new modern African economies. Many of these are also key energy transition materials, as you well know, and they are the building blocks of the future. And projects like this is really, Oshivela here today, form the cornerstone of a sustainable, environmentally friendly industrial economy.
Moving over to our next story, Museveni placed down Washington's exclusion of Uganda from a trade deal. In a letter to Congress, U.S. President Joe Biden accused the Ugandan government of human rights violation, which has been the focus of fierce criticism from human rights groups, the UN, and the Western countries since the adoption in May of a law dubbed the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023, but Yoweri Museveni told Ugandans on Sunday not to be too worried about the recent action of the U.S. government to discourage their companies from investing in Uganda and the removal of Uganda from the AGO list. In Uganda, we can succeed in our growth and our transformation objectives even if some players do not support us, the president said.
All right, those have been our economic news stories. We're going to head to our indicators and then straight to Ari for the sport.
India, and it is 6 teams that can still qualify for the semi-finals with the last week of round-robin games. It was South Africa that lost lots of momentum, and they will try to hang on to second position on the log. It is India that dominated when they played against South Africa over the weekend, winning by 243 runs. And that means that South Africa is still number 2 on the log, and it's important for them to try and stay number 2 to avoid the high-flying India in the semi-finals. For South Africa to remain number 2, they need to beat Afghanistan on Friday quite convincingly. Australia can still overtake South Africa into second position. That is, if Australia beat Afghanistan and Bangladesh by big scores, and then they can overtake South Africa with a better net run rate, even if South Africa beat Afghanistan on Friday. 3 teams are also fighting out for the 4th position. That will be New Zealand, Pakistan and Afghanistan, and that is all to play for the semi-finals. This is the last week of round-robin games. Moving on to golf news, and a good result for South African Erik van Rooyen. He won on the US PGA Tour. He won the WWT Championship, and he won it in Mexico. It was quite an impressive last round of Van Rooyen. He played a 63 in the last round for a total of -27 for the 4 rounds. And that means that he moves quite a bit up on the FedEx point system. He moves up from 125 to 63rd. And that will also help him a lot to try and retain his card for the next year. The 33-year-old South African won his 2nd PGA Tour title in his career, and it was with a total of -27, and in second position on -25 was Matt Kuchar. Continuing international sports news with tennis news, it is Novak Djokovic that remained the world number 1 tennis player on the ATP list. That's after winning the Paris Masters over the weekend. It is Carlos Alcaraz that remained second in the world. Carlos Alcaraz lost in the second round at the Paris Masters. It is Novak Djokovic that won the Paris Masters for the 7th time, and he's got a real good 2023 season. At the moment, he's won 6 tournaments, and this 36-year-old Djokovic has won 33 games on matches on hard courts, only lost once. The next tournament for Djokovic will be the season-ending ATP Tour Finals that will be played in Torino in Italy. And to conclude today's international sports news, it is motor racing news from Formula 1 from Mercedes-Benz. Team principal Toto Wolff of Mercedes-Benz not happy with the performance of the Mercedes-Benz team that was in the Brazilian Grand Prix the past weekend. It was the worst race for them in 13 seasons. Lewis Hamilton finished in 8th position, and George Russell did not finish the race. Toto Wolff said that he was baffled by the performance and also unacceptable the lack of pace that the Mercedes-Benz had compared to his competitors. Only 2 races left on the Formula 1 calendar, and the next one will be the 17th of November, and that will be in Las Vegas. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Let's get into the highlights from this morning's broadcast. South Africa recalls diplomats from Israel to assess its position. Museveni plays down Washington's exclusion of Uganda from trade.
And we have come to the end of this morning's broadcast of Africa Good Morning. Please do be reminded that you can catch our shows on DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia. On that note, it's all our love, all our light. Happy Tuesday.